Yeah, so this is being recorded, so you can talk about that. Okay, we'll have it. Where's the wedding? I think somewhere it's the reception somewhere here, but like the second part is the opportunity.
Oh, you look like I got it. That was an accident.
Okay, should we just want to get started and then people trickle in? Okay, guys, we're just going to get started so that we can go the full hour and people can trickle in and stuff. But I just want to introduce our awesome guest speaker today. He comes from Boston. He's been practicing for 17 years, and he has been doing nutrition the whole time in practice, but the last 4 years, he's kind of implemented this new program in his office, and it's just skyrocketed his results. So I don't want to take too much time. I'm just going to let him take the floor.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. It is so great to be here today. I have a quick little bit about me, and then we're going to jump right in. We do a lot of stuff. We're going to hit this hard and fast in over an hour. I went to Life University in Atlanta, graduated in '97, and been practicing up in the Boston area ever since. I specialize in neuropathy, spinal degeneration, scoliosis bracing, and we have a gut program. I've been using nutrition, as Rachel said, for the time I've been practicing. Good nutrition. There's a lot of good companies out there, a lot of great science out there. This actual program we stumbled into through a colleague of ours up in Minnesota, sent me some information, and it's completely changed the way we practice on many levels. So let's jump right in and talk about some of the new science that's out there. We're going to talk about what we call the situation. So we all, I mean, you guys are in school, you guys are in the forefront of this info. You know how sick this world really is, how we are. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And we like to call it the situation. You can't identify and go after the cause of something unless you know, or that you're treated for something unless you know the cause. So we have something that we call TDOS. Has anybody heard of TDOS before? Okay. So today we're going to talk about toxicity, deficiency, obesity or being overweight, and stress. A few years ago, Stanford Medical School, you know what they found was the #1 cause of death? Anybody want to guess? Boom. Everyone say heart disease or cancer. Stress. Stanford Medical. You know what the #1 cause of stress is? Economic stress, they found. But stress is stress. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Good stress has some damage that it inflicts on the body too, not just bad stress. But we are living in a crucial time right now. Illnesses are skyrocketing, chronic diseases are skyrocketing. You know, back in 2008, 1 in 4 of our kids had some type of chronic illness. Today it's 1 in 2. 1 in 2 children today are sick. And you guys see this just as much as the researchers do because of our profession. I love being a chiropractor. I love helping people. I just have more tools now to help people. This program I'm going to show you is mandatory. My neuropathy program, my spinal degenerative program in my clinic. So if patients want to come in to treat, they're doing this program and they're listening to the recommendations. And I adopted that mandatory philosophy 2 years ago because we track all of our patients. We track outcomes. I'm talking about neuropathy patients. And when you have something that you know is going to help them, why don't you tell them that? Well, we weren't. We're recommending it. We weren't saying you had to do it. 2 years ago, we made it mandatory. And we had significant statistical differences with our patients' outcome long term. In fact, in 17 years, tracking our patients. You know you got to feed the gut. You got the gut. I won't rehash what you guys already know. So our statistics are getting worse. I mean, you look at today, obesity. 2 years ago, Mexico took our title. We were the fattest country in the world. We have the most amazing healthcare practitioners. We have the most amazing researchers, scientists, medicine to keep us alive. If you're in crisis care, you get in a car accident, put my butt in that emergency room. Keep me alive, but then let me do what I know I need to do to get healthy. Right? Can anybody name a drug that is healthy for you? Are there any medications that are healthy? Right? No. But for crisis care, that's where I want to be. And then when I'm done, we have patients that have been on omeprazole for 10 years. Antacids, they completely block the absorption of vitamins and minerals in your gut. So there's a time and a place, but we know it's abused. This is what bothers me. It should bother every single one of you in here, whether you have kids or not. I spend my time in my clinic 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The rest of the time I'm with my kids, I have 5 kids, or I'm traveling around the country and the world talking to you about the science now. We're headed over to the Netherlands to the Traditional Medicine Conference where I'm presenting some of the science you're going to see in a couple weeks. In London in 2013, we presented this at the Anti-Aging Traditional Medicine Conference. The entire world is looking at this. You're seeing some brand new things today that I bet you haven't seen. You can tell me if I'm wrong afterwards. But 23 million children, that's not okay. And that is what we absolutely have control over that. No question about it. This is our future right here. 42% will be obese by 2030. 100 million Americans will have diabetes by 2050. And who's going to pay for us? Where's that money coming from? So today is all about the control that we do have and the control that we don't have. Because there is some control that we don't have. We know there's normal aging, but who is normal aging these days? It's accelerated tenfold. This is the world we live in right now. Since World War II, we've had 100,000 new industrial chemicals come into our world that you breathe in, you drink in, you eat in, you absorb in every single day, and only 560 have ever been tested on human beings. Can we all agree we live in a toxic environment? Right? Absolutely. So what effect does that have on the body, literally? Well, I have studies that show over 500 to 600 deadly toxins live in our body. Mount Sinai School of Medicine found 167. Should there be 10 deadly toxins living in our body? You think that can cause some problems? Absolutely. But they've proven 167. They don't say harmful. So if you look in journals or abstracts, you're going to see harmful, may cause injury, deadly toxins that live inside of our system. So we better believe that it affects our health. Our water, we know this. We know what's in there. We don't need to be ingesting medication for our water, cholesterol meds, Prozac, proven. We know that this is happening. So CNN highlighted a study that the American Red Cross did a few years ago. And they wanted to see toxicity at birth. They took beautiful, brand new baby girls, baby boys, tested their umbilical tissue for toxicity to see what they had starting out. Every single one of them had over 287 industrial chemicals in their body at birth. I get goosebumps when I say this, when I talk about this. That's disturbing. Do you think this has maybe some implication on stillbirths, brain injuries, diseases, chronic illnesses? Maybe there's other reasons for miscarriages, I get it. But 287 what does a chemical do? We all take it. We're all different classes, different grades here, quarters, and biochemistry. What do chemicals do? What's that?
Speed up or slow down normal process.
Beautiful, thank you. And they change things. So here's the pH chart. All right, we all know about homeostasis. We have to explain that. You know, our body wants to be around the 7.2 area. Okay, and we know all of these things happen in a high acidic environment. We don't want to be acidic. The problem is our entire world around us makes us very, very acidic. From medications to foods to pollution, right? And look at this stuff. This is what the average American consumes on a regular basis. I don't even have enough time today to even talk about this stuff. I used to I did a 3-hour lecture on just sweeteners. They're not dangerous, they're deadly. They're deadly. Why are we having so much difficulty restoring the normal flora and the probiotics in our gut? The sweeteners do a number on us. So I can't even spend time there, but these things either make it acidic or alkaline. And I'm not saying never have steak, never have turkey, but understand certain foods are a little more acidic, a little more alkaline. So we want to do 80% alkaline, 20% acidic, right? But there are certain things no one should ever put in their body. Aspartame, NutraSweet, they have an affinity to go right to the front of our brain, the hippocampus, which that destroys memory cells. They know this, but it's okay, all right? So when you walk by someone smoking a cigarette, your body becomes immediately acidic. And if you become too acidic, you'll die. Your body is the most amazing thing ever created on this earth. Your body can heal itself, given the right fuel and food and ability to regenerate itself, and the nervous system working properly. If you walk by someone smoking a cigarette, you become very acidic. So how does the body right itself? It goes into the bones and pulls calcium bicarbonate out of the bones to buffer the blood, to bring that pH back up, right? That's the normal process. And then we have a little sip of soda. We have phosphorus in the soda, very acidic, boom. And the body's going to go into the bones and pull calcium bicarbonate out of the bones to buffer the blood, to bring that pH back up, right? And then coffee. There's certain coffees that are 2.5 on the pH scale. You think that makes us sick? And everyone wants to say, little Johnny, drink your milk so you don't get osteoporosis and weak bones. It's a bunch of baloney. We've been brainwashed for so long. These marketing companies, the food companies, they spend billions and billions of dollars. And they've created something called the bliss point. The bliss point is where your brain becomes stimulated, but not satiated. Why can you go to McDonald's and eat a huge meal, and 20 minutes later, you're hungry again? And 20 minutes later, you're hungry again. Because they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. You go look at the French fry over in England, 3 ingredients. Anybody want to guess what those ingredients are? Oil, salt, sugar. Let me tell you, there's like 23, 24, 25 ingredients in the French fry here. And it's not just that stuff. It's not the good stuff, right? Osteoporosis is rampant. I have young females in my clinic in their 30s that are osteopenic in their 30s. In late 30s and early 40s that are starting osteoporotic. They're already almost at that 2.5, that minus 2.5 Z-score. That's not good. It's not about the glass of milk. I'm not saying we don't need calcium. We've got to think a little different. So what's the definition of food? Come on, we all love each other. We can raise our hands. And what's the definition of food? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Something that you need in order to get necessary nutrition.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. Absolutely. We need that nutrition. But it's more than the fats, carbs, proteins. You know what it really, really does deep down? Provides genetic information to our genes. It's the computer programmer. What happens if the computer programmer goes to Apple and he's drunk? You think he's going to put the right configuration and data in? What's going to happen to the outcome of that, right? Same thing. Same thing. Is this a big deal? Better believe it, on several levels. From 1997 to 2002, our peanut allergies doubled. Doubled. 1 out of 17 kids under 3 has a food allergy today. And check this out. There's been a 265% increase in emergency room visits, and that's not from parents. That's from pediatricians. Yeah. From pediatricians sending their patients to the ER for food allergies. That's a big jump. What is a food allergy? You can tell me, Mom. Come on. And you all guys are all starting to see it now. Right? When the body sees something as an invader and attacks it. That's what it is. So the question is, when you see these statistics skyrocket, is there something different in our statistics skyrocket? Is there something different in our food today that wasn't there when we were kids? I'm not going to tell you how old I am. When I was young, we maybe had one overweight kid in our class. I don't remember any allergies. I don't remember any peanut allergies, food allergies, zero, zilch, none. Did Mother Nature change the design of our food? Did she? No. So what happened? This is what happened. These brilliant scientists were able to design proteins to recode food. Boom. They would have the ability to change the genetic makeup of our food. They're the drunk programmer that's going inside us every single day. That is not okay, because our genes are changing. And there's a document under the Freedom of Information Act that came out, I think, in 2012. 44,000 pages from the FDA saying no one should be eating GMO food. Their scientists say absolutely no one should be eating GMO food. Can you still get GMO food today? Right? Almost 80%. It's going to be up to 90% soon. It's everywhere. They've been able to inject these proteins into our food to yield more crops, more money. Coca-Cola's great at it. Philip Morris, the tobacco industry, is great at it. Right? That theory was proven wrong, but that's what they did, and that's what we live with now. And here's the problem. Japan, Australia, New Zealand, all 27 of the European countries said there have been no human trials that have proven this to be safe. The United States took a different approach. They said there's no human trials to prove this stuff can injure us. What's that? Isn't safe, exactly. So they said, let's do it. And they did it. Do you know corn became regulated by the EPA as an insecticide? So have fun Labor Day weekend when you're making your corn, because you're not eating insecticide. They actually created these proteins to be able to fight off, right, the insects and whatnot, and resist all those things that they're spraying around crops. But with the corn, they made it its own insecticide, so that the bugs would eat it and they would expire from it directly. But you want to eat insecticide, you want to eat these chemicals, herbicides, pesticides. Why is that so damaging to the earth and our food supply? Because it destroys the rock, which creates the minerals. It destroys the good fungus that creates the minerals. Our soils are nutritionally bankrupt. This isn't theory, this is fact. We have these facts, we have the data right now. This is our food. This is our food. This is not okay. According to CNN and the Wall Street Journal, milk is the #1 food allergy. So we gotta look at milk a little bit. Anybody know this? RBGH, this hormone? Not a good hormone. Again, brilliant scientists designed these hormones to make the cows bigger, more meat, more yield. But you know what came along with that? Cystitis, mastitis, ulcerative colitis in the cows. The cows are getting very sick. So what do they have to do? Pump them up with antibiotics. Right? Horrible. And again, all 27 European countries, New Zealand, Australia, I think I'm missing a couple, Japan, all said no. There's no human trials to prove this is safe. We're not going to do it. The United States took a different approach. The FDA allowed it because no human trials have been proven to say it's unsafe. How backwards and upside down is that? These are our kids, my kids that this affects, your kids. So what was the big concern? When you increase these hormone levels, you're also increasing levels in the body that's categorically, not theory, categorically linked to the same hormones that rise up and cause prostate, colon, breast cancer. Directly linked. They knew this when they did it. They still did it. They still did it. So let's stop here on cancer for a second. 1 out of 10 women has breast cancer. Excuse me, 1 out of 8 women has breast cancer. 1 out of every 10 of those is genetic. So what does that mean? If 1 out of every 10 women with breast cancer is genetic, what's the 90%? Environmental. So let's look at the cancer rates around the world. Again, first place, the United States. The highest cancer rates on the planet. On the planet. You look into chronic constipation, IBS, and gut disorders, diabetes, reflux. Look at the time frame. You can't see these numbers too well. It correlates with what they've been doing with these proteins that they've injected into our food. Okay? But our food is bankrupt. We know we need 70 trace minerals, not the big minerals, trace minerals every single day for proper neurological, cognitive, and endocrine function. For your body to exist properly, 70 trace minerals. Where are we getting it from? Some of the best supplements I've seen, 15 to 20 of them. And do you know if you're taking vitamins, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if you know. Do you know if you're taking vitamins without minerals, they're completely useless. Are you guys taught this at all here? Completely useless. It's expensive urine. That's all it is. Why? Because minerals cause every single enzymatic reaction in your body. That's why we call them sparkles of life. No one talks about it, sorry? Bioavailability? It's the key. It's the guy at the front door that opens up the door so people come into his house. If there's no minerals, no one's opening up that door, the vitamins are not absorbed. And that's good vitamins, by the way. We'll get into that in a little bit. 1953, UCLA did a study. They found that one bowl of spinach gave us enough iron to last us a week. Today, 54 bowls of spinach. I'm not eating 54 bowls of spinach. 8 oranges. 1 orange was enough when my grandmother was born to give you what an orange is supposed to give you. Now we need 8. Apples, 6 to 12. To get one apple gave us that many years ago. Mother Nature gave us everything we need to exist. Food is the best medicine ever created if used properly. There's no question about that. We do blood and urine in my clinic. I can tell you, I see people in our gut program, they sit across my desk, they eat organic, they exercise, they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Because what we've been taught is not true. We are not what we eat. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but it's not true. You are what you absorb. You can eat all the right stuff, all the best nutrition. There's some good companies out there. You can eat the best nutrition. If those microvilli are not pulling the goodness out of that cauliflower, that broccoli, doesn't matter. Does not matter. It's not just about eating properly. You got to reboot the gut. I've used the best products on the market for a long time. What I use now, it's what I choose to use. There's many good companies out there. Make sure, I can't stress this enough, make sure you do your homework. There's a lot of companies that spend a lot of money. They'll show you a beautiful looking man, a beautiful looking woman with abs, legs that you want. They say, use this protein, use this. You have to do your homework. I have a team of people that call the companies, literally, physically get on the phone. Where do you source your protein from? Where do you get your botanicals from? How do you test them? I'm going to show you some stuff that we do afterwards. So we're bankrupt. We're nutritionally bankrupt these days in terms of our food. Obesity. I told you when we started, we were the largest country in the world until a few years ago. Mexico took our title. But obesity is not the only problem. You guys know about metabolic disease, metabolic syndrome, right? That's what 75% of all of our healthcare dollars go to metabolic disease. That is lifestyle. Okay? I'm not talking about type 1. You're born that way. You use this with a grain of salt. I'm talking about the things we have control over. Right? You better be taking your insulin if you're type 1. If you have seizures, I have no problem with anti-seizure medication. I'm talking about the stuff that we don't need to be poisoning ourselves with. And this makes me so sad. Every time I see this picture, put this up here. This poor kid's probably already type 2, blood pressure probably through the roof. And you know what? I don't blame the parents. I'll tell you why. Some of them yes, but the majority don't. Ignorance is not an excuse, but when you can't pay your electric bill, I was opening up a clinic in Hartford, Connecticut. I was driving through Hartford, Connecticut. So a sign in McDonald's, lunch, $2.95. If you're ever in that position where you don't know if you can keep your lights on, right? Keep your kid safe and warm, or feed them, you're going to do that. You're going to do that. And there's definitely ignorance. And there's definitely some parents that do put their head in the sand. They need some help and education. So when I fly around, I work with schools, I work with huge companies, small companies, firefighters. Anybody who wants to sit in front of me and listen, I'll talk to them. I don't care, because no one's gonna fix this unless we all fix it. Every one of us has the power to do this. And you guys are emerging healthcare practitioners on the cutting edge of getting into someone and showing them the right way, what you believe is the right way to get them healthy. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, they autopsied these children, over 700 children that died in accidents. They autopsied their livers. Look at this statistic here. 17.3% between 15 and 19 have fatty livers. You don't just wake up and have a fatty liver, right? That's lifestyle, guys. Obesity. Show of hands, okay? Show of hands. Do you think obesity is a choice? For the most part. Think it's a choice. Okay? Is it the gluttony of the sloth? Deborah's laying on the couch, she's eating Doritos, stuffing her face with popcorn and Diet Coke. And it's her problem. And she's the cause of it. Well, if you believe that, you need to be able to explain this. We have an epidemic today, an epidemic of obese 6-month-olds. Don't tell me they're laying on the couch not exercising enough. There's something wrong up here. There are chemical imbalances. And when we eat food with preservatives and chemicals that say, Josh, that French fry tastes freaking amazing, right? Those excitatory chemicals damage us in so many ways. You get a little dopamine pump, boom. I'm feeling lousy, I'm gonna go to pizza, get a little dopamine pump. For goodness, 2 minutes later, I feel lousy. They know how to do this. What does crack cocaine, heroin, hallucinogenic drugs do to our brain? Makes us see things and feel things and smell things that aren't necessarily there. What's the difference when they put chemicals in our food to enhance our senses? Right? So TOFI, everybody heard TOFI? Right, go. All right, then on the outside, fat on the inside, there's an MRI. The white is the visceral fat, okay, the dark are the organs, spinal cord, organs. You can see the difference between person A and person B, but look at their waist circumference, pretty much the same. I'm not talking about subcutaneous fat. I gotta keep bringing myself down, because usually when I speak, it's lay people, so I want to explain things. I don't even explain to you what visceral fat is. Subcutaneous fat, it's shown to help regulate hormone levels, and the bad stuff that makes us sick. You can clearly see there's a lot more visceral fat in that person. You can't look at someone and tell, because 20% of obese people are perfectly healthy. I don't know if you know that. 20% of obese people are perfectly healthy. And 40% of thin people or normal weight people are sick. Are sick. And they got something going on in terms of metabolic disease. Okay? And we've poisoned our entire globe. Greed, this poor giraffe. Greed. McDonald's is now the largest toy distributor in the world. That's not okay. That's not okay. So we need to supplement, there's no doubt. We need to supplement. And this is what you're going to find most of your patients do. I'm not going to spend a long time on this, but what I will tell you, there is no place for petroleum products in our body, period. Don't tell me, oh, but yeah, they use some calcium, so it's good. This is a great group, so I'm not going to go into that. So let me tell you what we do. Before I tell you what we do, let me tell you what we don't do. Diets don't work. Diets do not work. Can Jenny lose weight on a diet? Sure. Is she healthier? When you starve the body, let me back up a second. We count calories, right? Maybe not you guys, because you're so smart. Right? The world wants to count calories. There's no such thing. We let you in on a little secret. The body can't count calories. You can only count calories in a lab. The body knows two things. Is this a nutrient-dense calorie, or is this a nutrient-empty calorie? And most of what we put in our mouths is nutrient-empty. Guess what happens? If you go on a diet, you're restricting calories to begin with. And now you're restricting calories with calories that are nutrient deficient. So what does the body do? Increases cortisol levels immediately. What does that do? Slows down fat destruction or fat elimination. You can lose weight, but 3 months later, 4 months later, 5 months later, according to the NIH, 98% of the time, you have rebound. That person is bigger. That's according to the National Institute of Health. 98% of all programs, diets fail. What I do in my clinic is not a diet. We're infusing the body every day, every day. This is nutritional fasting and cleansing. But infusing the body every day, that's the key. I've done all the cleanses. This is not a cleanse. This is a reboot of your system, okay? So this is based on science, research, results, nutritional cleansing with intermittent fasting. We all know about intermittent fasting, how powerful that is today. Some companies have it right, most of them don't. Most of them don't. You gotta feed the body every day, feed the body every day. We gotta eliminate the garbage and then replenish. You can't just put the good stuff in, it does not work. That's why I switched my program. I used to use pure encapsulations, metagenics, standard process, which I still use too. I like standard process. I get some of their products, my individual things. Okay? There's some great companies out there, great research. But you've got to be able to clean out the garbage. Anybody take their car and get their oil changed? Right? The guy takes out, the man or woman takes out the oil filter, and it's dripping with gunk. It says, Rachel, do you want me to replace this, or do you want to put it back in? Spend a couple bucks and you put a new one back in, right? Because you know what's going to happen to your engine if you don't. We never do this properly. We never do that properly, and that's what this is. So what's in my toolbox? Number one, we use, and by the way, we have 580,000 people now around the globe who use this program. We have thousands of practitioners. Being a practitioner, I happen to work with a lot of practitioners that integrate this, mainly because of the science, and there's areas of that. But we use a very specialized juice. And this is, but I don't work for the company, just so you know. I'm a practitioner. I'm not paid to be here. This is a program. We're not looking to sell you anything. If someone wants information on this, I can give it to you. It's more the concept, so I want you to see this. Okay? We use a specialized juice that has some aloe vera in it. And I say that because you're going to see a lot of products, they say aloe vera, aloe vera, aloe vera. Well, aloe vera is good, but go a little deeper. Okay? This cleanse, this cleansing juice, brings a lot of those minerals to the body, but it cleans out, it scrubs out those cells. If your cell is 50% polluted, you only have 50% surface area for oxygen and nutrition, right? So tell me the high-end athlete that's supposed to perform way up here is polluted. We know our athletes have just as much toxicity as we do. I'm going to show you some stuff about athletes, professional Olympic athletes. But for the everyday person, they're no different. They need the same stuff. Inside this juice, there's something called polysaccharides. You guys know what polysaccharides? They are toxin hunters in the body. They identify the bad fat that's lodged. You juice. Is anybody juicing here? What about juicing? Yeah. It's healthy for you. It's expensive. And you got to do it about 8 times a day to get what you need. And that's working on water-soluble toxins. What I'm talking to you about today are fat-soluble toxins. The fat that causes visceral fat, that involve disease, congestive heart failure, et cetera, et cetera. Juicing works on water-soluble. I'm talking about fat-soluble toxins. Polysaccharides disassemble those toxins. They can't just leave your body. See, the body is so brilliant, it knows how to store them. The American Society of Endocrinologists name these fat cells called obesogens. They grab the deadly fat and lodge it around the organs. Because if it stays in my blood, I'm going to die. It's brilliant. We're supposed to have that for these chemicals. Thank God we do. The problem is, it's not supposed to be where it is. The ratios are not right. But that's how smart the body is. Polysaccharides disassemble those toxins so you can excrete them from the body. So let's go back to the aloe vera for a second. Most companies, in fact, I don't know any other company on this topic, they say we use whole wheat aloe, and that sounds great. Because everyone's whole this or whole that these days. The problem is, in the leaves of the aloe vera plant are enzymes that deactivate polysaccharides. So when the company says, yeah, we use whole wheat aloe, because it's cheaper to do that, and they get mass quantities. This stuff that I use, they do not use the leaves. They get rid of the leaves for that reason. These are the type of details. Just remember this concept when you go into practice, not just for nutrition, anything you do, look at the details. Look at the integrity of a coach, a mentor, a practice company, practice management consulting firm, whatever. Look at the details. Look at if they walk the walk. So we're going to jump over to the adaptogenic herbs. You guys learn about herbs in school? How powerful herbs are? Does anybody know what an adaptogen is? Yep.
It's a herb that helps the body moderate or respond, whether it's too high or low, to back to the ideal range.
Perfect. Absolutely right. 200 adaptogens in this drink right here. You know what it boils down to? Without giving you all the details, think of Norton antivirus. Norton rummages through your computer, defrags, cleans up. That's what this does. Shilajit, these minerals. I'm talking about these 200 adaptogens. I think is one of the most powerful antibiotics and antivirals that are out there. Okay? But it literally cleans up and eliminates the stress. So you're right. When your stress levels are up, that's why they're adaptogenic. They bring you down. And when you're down, they bring you up. Hence the word adaptogenic. Powerful and one of the most important things we do in our program. What's the world's most perfect food? Perfect food. Rachel's giving away $100 for this question, so anyone wants to guess? What's the world's most perfect food? It's not Pepsi. Yes.
Breast milk?
Boom. You need to be teaching this class, my friend. I love it. Yes. Breast milk. Breast milk is made up of 60% whey protein, 40% milk protein. The cleanest, most perfect food on the planet. Okay? Undenatured. Anybody hear that name undenatured? Big in the nutritional world now. Okay? Not too many companies do it because it's very expensive. When you drink 99% of the protein from the United States, you're getting denatured whey protein this way. Okay? Denatured, what does that mean? They heat up at high temperatures, right? And destroy the nutritional content. They break those peptide bonds, boom, and now you're eating something that's less nutritious. Why? Because of this. So my friend, Jimmy, who hit his plateau, who's a high-level athlete, comes into my office because he knows what I do, doesn't want to do this. He said, Doc, I have this huge tub of protein from GNC for $30, it'll last me 4 years. Like, Jimmy, keep doing it. Keep doing it if you think that's going to help you. Probably absorbing about 30%. What happens when you put protein in your body and you're absorbing 97, 98%? Big differences, right? Right? So it's cheaper, and I get it. Undenatured protein is what you want to put in your system. So in our replenishment and our protein shake that we use with our patients, okay? Of course it's GMO-free, soy-free. Opinion now, I don't like soy. That's my opinion. So I'll tell you the facts, I'll tell you the opinions. My opinion. I don't like soy at all. Soy protein is, in my opinion, very, very dangerous. But undenatured whey protein, we have one of the most nutrient-dense superfoods on the planet. All of my kids drink this shake. I don't give all my kids range in ages. I don't give them the adaptogenic herbs, because herbs can cause some, issues with the young kids and whatnot. I'm going to do all this. But in terms of the shake, the meal replacement shake, it is a real meal replacement shake. 240 calories, 24 to 36 grams of protein, depending on what you want. No hormones, no steroids, but guess what? It comes from grass-fed cows. I was having a meal at a restaurant a couple months ago, and the menu came around, it said steak fed with real corn. I laughed, I thought it was a joke. It's unbelievable. BCAAs, here's the magic button right there, and how they design the foods. So again, there's some good shakes out there in different companies. Do your research. You absolutely want to know where they source their protein from. And 99% of the companies you're going to call up are not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. They don't want you to know for obvious reasons. They're not going to tell you where they source their botanicals from, and that is absolutely important as well. So no gluten, no wheat, we don't use any of that stuff, but the right ratios of fats and carbs and all that good stuff, it's all in there and designed and whatnot. And this is how we replenish the gut too, with extras. There's other things. If I need to work with someone who's suffering from adrenal fatigue again before, yeah, there's other support. I'm not saying this is the all end all, but a core program in our office that changed things 180 degrees. You gotta clean and then infuse. You gotta clean and infuse. Okay? Cysteine glutathione. You guys have heard of that being in school. Again, in the shake, undenatured whey protein. You need cysteine glutathione. Not only the toxin hunters that disassemble those toxins. Why did people lose weight on this program very quickly? So not so quickly, can I say? Because if you go after the toxin, it's a side effect to lose the weight, or release the weight, the bad weight. It's not going after the weight, and I'll show you that in a second. You go after the toxins. If every company out there would actually look at this, things would be much different for them. They're going after fat, and the fat comes back 98% of the time. Exercise will never be enough. You need the food, okay? And here's something that most people don't know about. I know you guys probably know about this. No one talks about prebiotics. The prebiotics in this program, we were just talking about that before. The prebiotics are game changer. The probiotics are important, and probiotics actually make it down and live down are important. But the prebiotics, your body will start producing on its own. The normal flora, if you get it the right way, and it's sustainable. Okay? Telomere science. Okay, you're going to hear about telomeres. Okay? So I presented this science in 2013 at the World Anti-Aging Preventive Medicine Conference. I'm in a room lecturing with the most brilliant minds, and I'm not one of them. Talk about a humbling experience of being a little old Joshy from here in Massachusetts, chiropractor, in with scientists that you guys read about, because I have a passion for telomeres and what it does. It's not just about anti-aging. I go deeper than that with all of the diseases that we have. The telomeres protect our DNA. We're born in telomeres, so if you go in, I've got this little video for it. You go inside the body, we have hundreds of trillions of cells that make up our entire body. You go inside the nucleus, you have the chromosome. You look at the tip of the chromosome, we have these caps, like the shoestring caps that we have, that protect our shoestrings from fraying. Well, those tips right here protect the DNA. So at birth, our telomeres, so in utero, they're 15,000 bases long. When the child is born, those telomeres reduce down to 10,000 bases long. And when we die, those telomeres go down to 5,000 bases long. Our lifespan are these telomeres. The Russians discovered this in the 50s. And new science today has shown us what we can do to control this a little bit. There's normal aging. So as cells reproduce, the telomere gets shorter, gets shorter, gets shorter. But when it hits 5,000 bases long, it's called cell senescence, the cell dies. The DNA is exposed to the rattles, it's responsible for a lot of neoplasms and malignancy and death. Okay? And there's a normal process called basal cell shortening that telomere gets shorter. But there's also something called accelerated shortening. Have you ever seen a 7-year-old who looks like he or she is 50, or 40? Have you ever seen a 30-year-old that look like they should have 1 foot in the grave? Why is that? Think about that. Why is that? Do you think lifestyle has something to do with the accelerated aging in our system? You think booze has something to do with it? You think stress has something to do with it? The food has something to do with it? Lack of exercise? So when I lectured at the conference, I showed the studies with people that they care for Alzheimer's patients. So we didn't study the telomere lengths in the Alzheimer's patients. We studied the telomere lengths, by the way, it's all published. I'll give you the study if you guys want to see it. The caregivers had significantly reduced telomeres. It's not good to have short telomeres. We looked at four major mood disorders in Journal of Immunology. We looked at people who smoke in the later years compared to the control group who didn't smoke. Shorter telomeres. We don't want short telomeres. There's no better example of children that are born with short telomeres. We've seen these kids. A horrible, deadly disease. Terminal. It's terminal. These beautiful children suffer from all the same age-related illnesses that the elderly population does. Congestive heart failure, strokes, at age 11, age 12, lights out, done. Telomere disease. So curing telomere shortening, that accelerated shortening, could save these kids' lives. And there's research going on now. That's why I was there, because of cancer, because of these things, because of eukaryotes. Okay? Everything today now, check this out, it's not anti-aging. All of the diseases we know today, Dr. William Andrews, who I know very well, if you look him up, he is the single practitioner, he is the only lab in the entire world that only studies the aging process. Says this too, there's not one disease out there that's not linked to telomere shortening. Why do AIDS patients die? Why do they die? Other infections, excellent. Right? Specifically when the immune system goes down, right? Specifically, when the T cell reaches 5,000 bases long, that person now can't cough off the common cold or virus, they're done. The telomeres have reached 5,000 bases long, but T cell can't do its job, it's the fuel that it needs, done. We have example after example. I'd like to have a conversation with Dr. Shimon Slagan, who's got one of the most progressive cancer institutes in the world in Tel Aviv, Israel. Guess what they're looking at? Telomeres. Okay? Journal of American Medical Association said a few years ago, short telomeres increase the risk of cancer 4 to 5 times. Catalase. Has anybody heard of catalase before? Catalase protects our cells. Is it good to have low levels of catalase? As we age, catalase declines. Diabetes, cancer, catalase declines. If you have a good supplement out there, I'm saying good, look at it. The catalyst that we use was studied in vivo. You'll see a lot of companies will say vitamin C is proven to do this, ginkgo biloba is proven to do this, and that's the journaling that they do. Those are the research studies. The stuff I'm showing you, this stuff, the specific company and product that I show you is published in peer-reviewed medical journals. Not, yeah, vitamin C is good, so we're going to give you vitamin C. Right? Because Lipitor you get in California is the same Lipitor in Massachusetts. But the same vitamin C you get in California may be different in Washington. From company to company. You got to look at the bioavailability, not just put a study in there. This study was done, a double-blind, placebo-controlled study in vivo, which is very difficult to do in humans. With all this food. Everything I'm showing you up here is food. With botanicals and bees and nutrients. We were able to increase catalase levels by 30% in a randomized, double placebo-controlled study. Researchers said if you can increase catalase by 5%, that person will be healthier than the majority of the population. Okay, so here we go. Here's dieting. When you slow your calories, right, and you're already getting nutrient-deficient calories, remember, these black ducks, the toxins live in the fat cell. So if the fat cell is doing this, there's less and less room. It's like having 90 people in your one-bedroom apartment, right? They're gonna move out the windows and out the door. The toxins, all right, we're gonna go a little faster here. The toxins have to go somewhere, so they go out of the cell and into the blood. Is that good to have deadly toxins in the blood? No. So this process starts up immediately. The brain sends an alarm to the liver, make more fat. This is what rebound is. It's not about Jenny looking great after 3 months. Look at her in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Rebound comes back because the body wants to stay alive. That's called starving the body. Nutritional cleansing with intermittent fasting, right? Specifically while infusing the body every day. Every day. It's like taking a shower every day on the inside with nutrition. This is what happens. You go after the toxins and the fat falls off. The bad fat falls off. So people say they see some of the results in the clinic and worldwide and say, oh, it's not good to lose that much fat. Well, they're right if you're starving the body. But how about eating, ingesting the nutrients every day and have that happen? And building muscle at the same time. We have a study published in Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism, study of UIC. This is what they found. This is from nutritional cleansing, right? 56% more weight loss, 47% more fat loss. Here's the kicker. Because all that is good, but without this, I don't give a crap about it, excuse my language. 2 times the amount of visceral fat loss. This is why people are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. If you're telling me, and they compared this, by the way, this program to the heart healthy diet. So go to your primary care physician, doc, I'm not feeling good, I got high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Says eat good, eat well, we're gonna put you on a heart healthy program. They didn't compare this to people eating McDonald's, they compared this to people eating good. And this is what happened. Why do we have as many, thousands of practitioners that use this program? Because of this. Because oftentimes it's science and integrity. Here's a published MRI before the program. Here's the white visceral fat after the program. Okay? A published MRI of visceral fat. When someone says, show me the science, let's go. Let's start. Because so many places and companies will say, it's from this, from that. Show me science. Athletes. Love this one. When you say nutritional, any athletes in here? You don't have to be professional, recreational or professional or Olympic. Very good. Thank you. If you run 3 days a week, you're an athlete. You exercise. But they wanted to prove something here. Because when you say cleanse or nutritional fast to an athlete, what happens? Look at their pupil. Done. Smoke off their heels. They don't want to hear about cleansing. When we associate cleansing these days, or the average person, they associate muscle loss, right? Bone loss, loss of energy. So Dr. Michael Colgan, you can look him up too, pioneer in protein in the brain and whatnot, took these triathletes, men and women. They were already under 10% body fat already. They wanted to put them on this 30-day nutritional cleansing system. Okay? And this is what happened. They lost an average of 14.2 pounds, decreased their body fat by 3%. But this is what made the difference. They gained 3% in muscle. If you have a muscle cell, let's do this again. I want you to leave with this one concept, and this is the only thing you leave with. Muscle cell, and 50% is filled up with junk. What's the space that athlete has to absorb nutrition, right? And oxygen to be healthy? 50%. What else is there? So when our athletes go on the program, athletes know their body. They feel it right away. They feel it right away. Powerful. What this program does, it does not enhance. We are not processing. We're giving back the body what Mother Nature intended to have. That's all it is. You've got to infuse the body. I want to show you something that has made a huge difference in practice today for the docs that do care like this. Some don't. To be honest, some don't. In our program, the company itself, look, we all want to do things and be in first place, right? You want to have the best practice. You want to provide the best healthcare. Who wants to be in second place? Everyone want to be in second place? Okay. Right? This is what separates the men from the boys, if you will. Was that?
I said that's the first movie.
There you go. Raw material identification. This company will take ingredients that they get from good sources and they still fingerprint it. They fingerprint the DNA to make sure you're getting exactly what you think you're getting. Everything else gets rejected and doesn't come in. It goes back on the market and it usually drops down by 80% or 50%. Another company to buy number one. I'm showing you this because I want you to call the companies that you use and make sure they do this. Because they should. Because when I go on a cheat day, I want to know I'm cheating. I don't want to be cheating for 20 days and then my 21st day, 21st day, or cheating 7 days and my 8th day, we're going to go nuts. I'm cheating every day if you're not looking at this stuff. Okay? Number two, you want to test for potency and purity. You want to make sure they're testing that the products have potency. Ready? The same thing. Vitamin C here is different from vitamin C there. Remember that. They test every product for cleanliness. Who here has heard the term clean eating? I'm going to give you, right? I'm going to give you a different concept of what that really means. This is clean eating. Okay? Do you know that a lot of organic food has pesticides in it? You guys already know that? All right, you're the elite bunch because most people don't know that. In fact, a lot of doctors we work with didn't know that. That's okay. Many sources of organic food has pesticides in it. Heavy metals attached to those pesticides. This company will not use it. Again, they test it, push it out. This is really clean eating. When I say this food that I give my kids is the most nutrient-dense superfood on the planet, no question about it. I can't control what they get at lunch, but I know they're at least getting the probiotics and the nutrients they need. Finished product testing, third party. They test everything when it comes in and then when it leaves. Every batch goes to university to be tested. So when we say it's proven to regulate insulin sensitivity, it's proven to aid the person in the loss or release of fat, it's proven to be able to build and sustain lean muscle because they prove it. And I want you to do that and take this knowledge and use this so when you go into practice or beforehand, you're using the best products. In this situation, in our program, we have systems for weight loss, healthy aging, energy, and performance. 4 categories. And the reason is we've made it easy for practitioners not to have to be a nutritionist or specialize in nutrition because the systems are done. Okay? And then you can curtail it. I have patients that come in, they're all over the place. We need to test that. We do IgG testing in the office too. We'll tweak things. But the basic core, unbelievable. So tonight, Rachel's having a meeting, okay, we're going to be doing later on. For anybody interested in learning more about this program, learning more about, listen, I'm on the road. I have students, I have professionals, I have lay people that have taken a passion to this and they help teach. Anybody who's interested in lecturing, someone said once, he who has the mic makes the money. When you go into practice, you're going to have to do lay lectures. right? Right? That's how I started out. Scared the crap out of me. It still does. I used to throw up before speech class. I used to skip in 11 to 12 quarter life. I used to skip some of my speech classes. It was the worst thing you could do to me to tell me I have to speak in front of them. Honest to goodness. And every time I get up in front of people, I still get the stomach. It's normal to be. People know. They're honest with that. It's normal. I get passionate. I love what I do. So if you want to learn about this stuff and how to present this to a patient or on a bigger scale, that's what we do. I mentor people, practitioners, teachers, anybody. Because we need to spread the message. We're going to be talking about that tonight. So if there's nothing else, we have some time. We have a couple minutes. You want to do some questions? Or?
Yeah, let me just plug that in case we get to class with patients. So tonight, if you're interested in learning more and about how to apply it, how to get involved, do it yourself, we're going to have a meeting at my house tonight at 6. So everybody should be out of clinic and school by that point. So bring some dinner, bring some beer, whatever you want. We're going to have a little meeting, just kind of go over that kind of stuff. And I'll post the address to my house on the event page so that you can come. So come at 6, bring a friend, just come and we're going to chill for 7 hours. So once a night, yeah.
I'm in this meeting, I'm going to take it tonight.
Yeah.
What's the company or product name or line?
I'll end this and I'll let you know to respect other entities.
Technically, yeah, we just, with standard process, being here, we're just going to.
Owners.
So that's what we're having this meeting at.
In fact, why don't we do this? Let's end things in a second, and anybody who wants to stay with questions, we can do that.
Yeah.
So I just want to show my appreciation to you, Rachel, and all of you. I know you have a busy day. This has become a passion of ours because we can change the course of people's health through education. So I honor all of you for being here. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it.